dominating the skies.
The United States is decimating the radical Iranian regime's military in a way the world has never seen before. The combination of the world's two most powerful air forces is unprecedented and unbeatable. Between our Air Force and that of the Israelis, over 15,000 enemy targets have been struck. That's well over 1,000 a day. No other combination of countries in the world can do that.
War in Iran now in its third week, and tonight, the dominance in the air shows no signs of slowing down. Just hours ago, CENTCOM informed us that U.S. forces have struck nearly 90 military targets on this key Iranian Karg Island, little bitty island there. It's only about 16 miles off Iran, but this is a critical oil hub where naval mine depots, missile bunkers, and other sites were hit. But the energy structure, the energy infrastructure there, the storage, was left intact. With Iranian missile and drone attacks sharply reduced, commanders say U.S. and Israeli jets are operating with near total freedom over Iranian airspace, over large parts of Iranian airspace, as Tehran loses air capability day by day. Joining us now to better understand the U.S. military's might across the Middle Eastern skies, Dave Burke. He is a retired U.S. Marine Corps officer, Top Gun instructor, and Chief Development Officer at Echelon Front, and Dr. Dan Diker, President of Jerusalem Center for Security and Foreign Affairs. So, Dave, you've flown these combat missions. You've trained Top Gun pilots. When you look at this massive air campaign, from the F-22s deployed to the region to hundreds of strikes a day inside Iran, how decisive is the air superiority in shaping the battlefield overall?
It's a perfect word for it. It is decisive, and it's really how we operate. Our objective from the moment we start is to gain air dominance, which is what we have. And just like I said earlier, that's a function of the incredible capability we bring with our 4th and 5th gen fighters and that incredible partnership with Israel, who has amazing aircraft as well.
Yeah, Dr. Diker, you've spent years studying Israel's security doctrine alongside their neighbors there, with new reports that we're seeing the IDF striking checkpoints across portions of Tehran, the military checkpoints there. So if they're striking those, and the forces are now moving some of the checkpoints into underground tunnels, does this look to you like a regime that's losing on the streets? Are we forcing them into a retreat, even if it's down? Or are they just digging in for a longer fight?
Edie, they're digging in and they're desperate. And it's very clear, as Secretary Hegseth said just yesterday, they're going down and Israel and America are going up. However, there's a real danger that has not been discussed enough. And I think that's what President Trump understood, that the Iranian regime is going deep underground, hiding that enriched uranium at about between 60, somewhere between 60 and 90%. We know they have 440 kilograms, which is only the size of a refrigerator, but it can actually fuel 11 nuclear bombs within weeks. And this is the urgency that President Trump felt when he received intelligence from Israel as well as the CIA, and that is why the United States is working with ferocity and great urgency in order to hit these underground storage facilities, which they began in June 2025, but didn't finish the job. And now there is a real urgency in hitting these checkpoints and also in hitting these secret sites at Fordo, Isfahan. Those are the main two ones.
Yes.
It may require some ground incursion, but we don't know that yet.
You know, I don't see how it doesn't include that, to be very honest with you, because what you're saying is something that really has not, as you said, been talked about much, and that is what they have got underground, what we, in our decisive campaign against them last year, were unable to touch, to take away. It's there. They can dig it up. And somebody's got to go in there and make sure that that's taken care of. Now, we saw the spokesperson for Iran's military come out and threaten that if Iran's own energy sites are hit, all oil, economic, and energy infrastructure belonging to companies with American ties across the region will be destroyed. So how seriously, Dave, do you take those threats? And what does it mean for, oil prices in Iran and how we conduct our campaign?
Yeah, and I don't want to be flippant, but right now I would not want to be in their position. You talked about air dominance earlier. I think we're operating with the understanding that we're going to continue to find all the relevant targets as precisely as we can. I'm sure they're going to be in a position to try to respond with whatever they can respond with. And unfortunately for them, it's not a lot. Again, I'm not going to be flippant about those comments, But I don't think it's going to deter us from what we're doing and how well we're doing it.
Yeah, Dr. Diker, there were a number of I listened to a lot of different media sources because I want to see how they're talking, how they're feeling, what their guests are saying, and I get this sense that they're trying to sort of push this story narrative that the U.S. has pulled all of its Middle East allies into this, and they're really upset with the U.S. for doing this, but in fact, the less of a dominance Iran has, the safer it is for other countries like, say, Saudi Arabia, where they're constantly being threatened by terrorists in Yemen. So doesn't this, if we are able to take care of the issue, make the entire Middle East safer?
Much safer, Edie. It's a very important point that you're making here. The Sunni Shia divide and the war between, Saudi Arabia-led Sunni Islam and the radical Messianic Islamic Shiite regime in Tehran are arch enemies, even worse than the Iranian regime hates the United States. And let's face it, what the Iranian officials are saying now is pure bluster. They are losing. They are being destroyed, but they're still very dangerous. And it's very clear, having spoken to associates in the Gulf just hours ago, that the Saudi sanctioned, the Bahrainis, the UAE, the Saudis, even the Moroccans, the Kuwaitis, even the Qataris have been publicly calling the Iranians the enemies, and they're talking about participating with the American-led effort against what they call in Arabic a shared enemy, and they mean Iran. So yes, it will make the U.S. allies, Arab allies in the Middle East stronger with Israeli technology and partnership and American leadership. For the first time in decades, the Middle East could actually be safer, secure, stable, and prosperous. We have got to get rid of this Iranian regime. Not enough has been made in the discourse of the American people about the acute danger of the Iranian regime to the American people. And just one word, what President Trump did in Venezuela was to take out the dictator that headed the headquarters of the Iranian regime's base in Latin America. Venezuela was the main transit point for Iranian terror in Latin America. It was not only about drugs. So we're talking about an acute assault and threat to the American people out of America's back door in Latin America.
Well, I agree. I think that if we get this taken care of, everybody feels a lot safer out there. And we certainly don't want another nuclear power in the hands of crazed dictators. Dave Burke, Dr. Dan Diker, thank you both for your time.